It's a really good sign when you get a young driver in the car and immediately he's looking at himself, well, how can I be better? What can I do different? How am I going to be quicker next time out? And that's what you want to see. And they're the ones that immediately you have that feeling that they're going to go somewhere and do something with their career.
I've heard people say auto racing is not a sport. It's like, to them, you're just sitting there. Turn the wheel, step on the gas. What's so athletic about that? There's no running, throwing, or catching. No bats, sticks, clubs, or rackets. No kicking, not even a ball. If I'm leaving out your favorite sport, well, my apologies. Growing up, my parents thought I should give some of these a try. My mom, who's Brazilian, naturally thought soccer would be good.
Well, Dylan wanted to be the goalie, so he didn't have to run after the ball.
And Major League All-Star Dal Strawberry, who's actually a family friend, tried teaching me baseball. Didn't work out too well.
He wasn't really good at baseball, football, soccer. He actually wasn't good at any sports, and I felt bad for him.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. See, my story really starts when I was 3. That's when I was diagnosed with autism.
He would constantly spin in circles. And I mean, if we were walking through a store, he'd literally spin in circles.
My family was told I would never be able to live on my own, that I needed full-time care basically forever. But it turned out the doctor was wrong. I did not have autism. I had, and still have, ADD and ADHD. Basically, it means I have trouble focusing, which I do in some situations. Lots of kids have it, and they often get medicated for it. So did I, but for me, it actually made things worse, so my parents stopped it. One other thing, I'm kinda small, really small, but growing up that didn't bother me so much. What bothered me more was that people thought I wasn't smart. But I have to hand it to my mom and dad. They refused to let me be held back by my size or any diagnosis. Then, one day, after trying out all those other sports, my dad had an idea.
But I took him to this half go-kart lawnmower repair shop out in Long Island.
Before Phil leaves the house, I'm like, look, promise me, whatever you do, do not come home with a go-kart.
I wound up ordering a brand new one because, you know, Dad's got to be Dad. And I remember Shirley freaking out.
Not even a pre-owned car, a brand new car. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, you don't understand.
I remember getting there, and there was this kid go-kart. And I said to Dylan, you want to sit in that? And he goes, yeah.
And then I sat down, and then I remember I was just like sitting in the seat.
He sat in like he had done it a million times, even though it was his first time. And he reaches up and puts his hand on the steering wheel and goes, Dad, this is it. This is all I ever want to do.
Oh my God, this is all I ever wanted to do.
This is what I want to do with my life. I'm like, he's 5.
My name is Dylan Tavella. Today, I'm 16 years old, and I drive 140 miles per hour in my Formula 4 race car. So is it a sport? I don't know. You decide. I just know that for me, it's the only thing I ever wanted to do.
When we first started, we were so happy when Dylan finished second to last.
Sooner than later, he was just as fast as everybody else, and next thing you know, we're traveling around the country.
Right when Dylan was in Micromax, right from the get-go, yeah, knew he was a very talented young man.
Right away you could see he had the determination to be a stud. He practices when other kids aren't practicing. He's putting the time, the effort.
He had a lot of natural instinct, a lot of natural ability.
Dylan's fast, flat out, very, very fast in go-karts. He's won just about everything you can win in go-karting.
Dylan was pretty successful from the get-go, so you knew he was on the racetrack.
It was easy to notice him because he was always at the front.
If you watch Dylan on the track, he has that drive and ambition. He doesn't care if it's his mom in front of him, he's gonna somehow beat her.
Even though he was so small compared to the other kids, he was just as fast as them. And strength wasn't an issue. And I'm like, oh man, this kid's got some speed, he's fast.
It's like a baseball player or football. You can see a quarterback when he starts throwing the ball, when it's at ease and it goes 30 yards. It's the same thing in driving. You can see the talent immediately.
I would find it strange that we were at tracks that we'd never been before, and Dylan just started competing with the town favorite and the local kid who owns all the records, and Dylan's beaten.
Starting almost all the way from the back, number 114, Dylan Tavella.
And I remember seeing a man, as soon as the race was done, father grabbed his son, he's like, what's the matter with you? How'd you let that little boy beat you? And the little boy turned around to his dad and goes, that little boy is Dylan Tavella, Dad. And the father looked at him and goes, really?
I have pictures of Dylan standing with older drivers. It's like their little brother, like, all right, little brother, get away. And he stood there, he stood his ground. And he would never let anybody push him around.
He's taken a lot of hits for being the small guy.
Well, you've had kids his own age petting him, like, oh, you're so little, you know?
If people call me small, like in my mind, I would be saying to myself, all right, but I'm still beating you on the track.
To make it fair on racing, it's weight plus cart.
When I got up to cadets, I had 50 pounds of lead on my cart because I was so tiny.
Which, just from simple physics, it's harder for him to turn a wheel. It's harder for him to stop the go-kart because there's so much weight.
And with no power steering, I have no idea how this kid did it.
You would think strength would be an issue, but it's not with him.
Even the tuners, the mechanics, they're like, how the heck does he do that?
There's always the pressure of the mechanics and the tuners and the coaches and in many cases the parents. So those who can overcome that pressure and just focus on what they know how to do, which is race, will excel.
Dylan has ADD and ADHD. Off the track, he struggles with it, but when he gets in that go-kart, any disabilities he has goes away. When Dylan was diagnosed with ADD and ADHD and sensory issues, and he had a speech impediment also, we had a lot of parents who, from watching the TV show, like, why you talk about that stuff? And my wife and I wanted to make sure people understood that don't let anyone tell your child what they can and can't do. Your child can do anything they want to put their mind to. They really can.
With ADD, you get distracted. You can't focus.
We were told by the quote-unquote experts that Dylan should never drive a go-kart.
Dylan has challenges with attention in school.
When we told him that what we were putting him into and what he was doing, they were like, you're out of your mind. There's no way he can keep his attention span for as many minutes as you're on the track.
I just refused to accept the diagnosis that he was given.
For these doctors who pointing their fingers and looking at us parents like we're out of our mind, no, we're not out of our mind. We just believed in our child.
People think an attention disorder that they're not paying attention. That's not necessarily true. In Dylan's situation, he's overly paying attention to what's important to him at that moment.
We were fortunate enough that we didn't give up and we found his passion.
Making the jump from karts to cars for somebody that's grown up racing karts, to be honest, is usually fairly simple.
It's also the first level to start on your way to Formula One or IndyCar.
Every driver that has come from karting into race cars says the same thing, because in the karting, you're so fast.
The corner speeds are so much faster in a kart than they are in a car, and the turns come up on you so much faster that when karters get into a car almost feels slow motion.
When I first started driving an F4, I was driving it like a go-kart because I went from 11 years racing from a go-kart to an F4. And I was talking to my team. They taught me different ways. I also have a simulator at home, so that really helps. A simulator is a great thing to practice on if you're not at the track. It's amazing.
Nobody really knows how hard it is until you actually get into a race car and drive it yourself.
F4 is harder than a go-kart, stamina-wise, and I've been working on that. The benefits of working out, it's a lot. It's great. It just makes you improve, and when you hop back in that car, you'd be like, wow, this is so much easier. That's what every single time.
This Formula 4 series is really, really well put together between the FIA, On-Road, Honda, Pirelli, everyone who's involved with it right now. They've really done a good job at getting the car right.
I don't know how I did it, but I outbraked everyone and I made it through it, everyone.
Dylan helping other drivers, that was one of the great things. In the beginning, he didn't like it, but the more and more he did it, he realized that he did enjoy it.
Dylan's like the really good kid at the track, and I feel everyone kind of looks up to him for that, and everyone wants to be friends with him.
It seems like all the kids gravitate towards him. They think he's funny and he's really polite, so that's why most of the kids like him.
He just gives me pointers at my line, if I need to get on the gas earlier or not.
Get on after you're turning.
It was really great to have somebody a little bit closer at his age that could communicate with him and deliver tough coaching messages as well as encouragement and good constructive criticism as well.
The kids can really communicate much different than, say, a dad communicating or a coach communicating, so they are more willing to openly speak about what they're feeling and really what they're doing.
Dylan is sensitive to other children who might be struggling in some way because he has experienced that himself.
Clearly, Dylan knows what he's doing and is the best example of how to get it done.
When Dylan and my son raced on the same team a couple of years ago, Dylan was the first kid right there to help the others and want to be supportive.
Get closer to that curb, don't hit it, and then make sure you don't step the gas so like the rear can come out.
Dylan's been watching my video today, and I've sped up 1.1 seconds, and then I did a 10th on the heat.
Every step of the way, there's always another 1/10 of a second to get, and it's only by someone that does it better than you, teaching you and you following them and really understanding the language of the sport. And Dylan's taught Cooper a lot about that.
That's better, that's better, that's pretty good.
Dylan's one of the kids that has a rare talent.
All he wants to do is race. When he's not at the track, he's talking about racing. When he's at the track, he's talking about racing. When he's at school, he's talking about racing.
And every time he comes to the track, I mean, the kid puts on his helmet and you know he's going to be a front-running guy just because of the determination that he has.
He can go as far as all the resources he has at his disposal.
Get him a good engineer, he's going to go straight to the top.
I've told him many times, hey, let's call it a day. Let's go do something else. And he's like, hell no. It's his passion.
He's really learned that he can do anything that he sets his mind to. He's super, super focused. And if we look at that as a gift, not a disability, that's a wonderful, wonderful piece to have.
There's really no limit to him.
I know there's more great things he's going to do.
And you know the old expression, some birds whistle, some birds sing, he sings.
I feel like I was born with an ability. I've always loved racing. I've always, I cannot stress it enough how much I've always loved fast cars, racing, close racing, open wheel racing, prototypes, IndyCars.
Dylan, he's very grateful for what he's been given and provided with. His family will do anything to support him. They do so much. He's very, very fortunate.
Dylan truly believes that everything is next for him. And he truly believes that he has no limits. He truly believes God is with him. He truly believes he can win in Formula One.
To have Ride with Dylan on a Formula One car. That's what our goal is.
I always wanted to be the best.
We created Ride with Dylan because we wanted to help others.
Ride with Dylan is giving back to the people, helping people that are in need.
To have a child that inspires for good, I'll take that over any championship any day of the week. And I can say that honestly. Get your helmet, go, 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 go. Go, go, go. Willis trusts that he went through all the adversities that he went through. And I'm telling you as a father how much I put him through. Hey, what are you doing? Constantly riding him and being extremely tough on him. After all he's been through, to turn around and say, Dad, we need to create a foundation. We need to give back.
For anyone who's ever been told that they can't, or they're not good enough, or smart enough, or they haven't found their passion, Ride with Dylan is the place to come to be inspired, to believe that you can.
We encourage everyone to come to ridewithdylan.com. I promise you'll be treated like a family member. And I mean that in a good way.